Morning everyone. This is Pragna Aishwaryan working as Principal FAC in TTWRTC Union, Dampet. As a part of this online lectures, today I would like to bring in front of you the very important topic in English, that are language skills. So, language skills are important for communication. Language skills are important to learn the language. So, why these language skills are given so much importance? So, today in this lecture, we'll be able to learn why these are so important and what is the process of learning these language skills, what is the sequence that is necessary to learn these language skills. These language skills are present in the first year textbook in the first unit of Kakatiya University. Okay, in there these language skills are described in detail. So let us go into the topic and see why these are so important and in what way these language skills helps the students, not only the students but also we people have to have the clarity of how these language skills helps us in our communication process. Now let us go into detail of what is a language and how these language skills are helpful. Okay. So the first slide here, it is about language skill. So first of all, let us learn what is a language. So language is a system of elements that enables people to communicate or interact. So it is the interactive process of few elements. So what are the elements that helps us to learn a language? Not only English, any language, for coming to our mother tongue also, there is a process of learning a language. It cannot just simply learn. Okay, so it is the system that is a combination of elements that enables people to interact or communicate. So only once a language is learned, the process of communication is done. So without the process of communication, so do we actually know our existence? No, because we as a people, as a human being, we have different ideas running in our mind. So we want to share our ideas, we want to share our feelings to the other person. We cannot just sit down or idle without any communication with the other people. Hence, so the beginning of a language starts with this communication. Hence, so we'll learn how this process of language learning comes. Okay, so here we have already mentioned in the first point that there are the system of elements, that in series of elements that help us to communicate or interact. So what are the elements? Elements that helps us to communicate. So these elements include vocal or written forms. Okay, what are vocal? That is a voice, our intonation. Okay, the words we speak comes under vocal. And also the written form, here it is mentioned. What is the written form? Anything that is written in the textbook or anything that is written on a paper comes under the written form. Okay, so the process of language learning happens when we read a written form or when we speak to a particular listener. It cannot happen, we cannot learn these language skills individually or separately or isolatedly. The learning of the language cannot happen isolatedly. It is always the integrated form of the four skills that are listening, speaking, reading and writing. These four skills in an integrated manner contributes to the language learning. So it is important for us to see what is the sequence or what is the order of learning a language. Any language comes in this order of learning. So see here, people learn the language in the following order or sequence. So let us see what is the order of learning the language. First comes When people are learning a new language, they first hear it. What they do? They hear a language. They listen to the sounds, they listen to the voices coming from the other people. So that is considered as the first step of language learning. So we hear the noises, we hear the sounds. Okay, then we hear and we try to understand what the other person is speaking or saying. Okay, so this is the first step of language learning, that is hearing. Next, eventually they try to repeat what they hear. What is the second step here? Whatever the sound, whatever the noise they hear, people try to utter or people try to repeat it. Okay, only the communication process will begin, right? Okay, so when we utter a sound, when we speak a word, that comes under speaking. So the first thing is we listen to the sounds and we try to produce the same sound that we listen. That is called speaking. So here comes the second step of language learning, that is speaking. So the second step of language skills is speaking. Now let's go to the what is the third step. Yeah, here. Later, they see the spoken language depicted symbolically in print. So now comes the third form of language skills. That is, they try to read whatever is written. Okay, so the written format here, we try to read. Okay, we try to read whatever is printed on the paper. That is called reading. Reading is the communication that happens when the written form is read by the reader. Okay, so the third step of language skill is reading. Now let's go to the fourth and the final step of language learning, that is writing. Okay, reading happens only when there is a writing part, right? Simply the reading cannot stand isolated. So it has to have something that has to be read. So that something is what? Writing. Okay. So these four skills overlap with each other. They are interdependent on each other. They are not individual. They cannot be learned individually or isolated. They are always in the integrated form and they have to be taught in the integrated manner. So now we have come to the conclusion that the language, any language can be taught or any language can be understood under four steps. That are, first one is listening, next is speaking, next is reading, and the last one is the writing. So these are the four skills of a language. A language learning happens with these four skills. And one more important thing is the same sequence. This is the order. This cannot be changed. Okay, first we go to the speaking and then we learn the listening. No, this will not happen. This order should be the same. First listening only happens, then speaking happens, then comes the reading, then comes the writing. For example, let me see. When a child is in the mother's womb, the first thing what he learns is he listens to the sounds that are coming from the outside world. Okay, so as a human being, so the first and initiative thing we learn is listening. Okay, after coming to that means when a mother gives birth to the child and when he comes to the outside world and he starts living in the outside world, what he learns, he tries to utter the sound that he has listened. Okay, so now comes speaking. Okay, from the listening, speaking has come. And then when he enters into the school education, what happens? He'll try to read whatever is written in his textbooks. Reading and writing happens in his school education. Okay, so this sequence, this order cannot be changed. Always a language learning happens only in this sequence. Okay, next. So let's see the four basic skills of a language learning are listening, speaking, reading and writing. So listening is a semantic aspect of a language. So what is semantic aspect of a language? Listening cannot happen just like that. When we listen to something, we need to understand the meaning of what we have listened. Okay, it cannot just happen. We listen to something and we leave like that. No, it should not happen. Listening is a process where you listen to something to understand. It may be a song, or we may listen to some news, or we may listen to the conversation of a person who is talking to us. Okay, we listen with a purpose, right? We listen to understand the meaning of what is taught. Hence, listening is considered as a semantic aspect of language. That is the meaningful aspect of a language. Now comes speaking. What is speaking? Speaking is the phonetic aspect of a language. What is phonetics? We all know that phonetics or phoneme or phone is something related to the sounds that we hear. Okay, phonetic means sound, the sounds that we hear, and the sounds here, speaking means the sound that we utter. We speak the sounds, we speak the sound so that it will become an alphabet, or it will become a word, or it will become a sentence. Okay, the basic element of sound is basic element of phonetics is what? A sound. Here in speaking, what happens is we utter the sounds, we speak the words, we speak the sentences, right? Next comes reading. So what is reading? Reading is phonetic as well as graphic aspect of language. So phonetic is, as we have already known, that it is related to sound, and graphic is writing. Written form of representation is called graphic representation. Okay, so in reading, what happens? Both phonetic and graphic aspect both are included. Phonetic is we speak the sound, and graphic, that means reading. When we read, we utter the sound, right? So what we'll read what is written on the paper, the printed form, right? So here two aspects are involved, that is sound and writing. Now comes the writing, the last important thing, that is writing. Writing, as I already told you, it is a graphic representation. Writing is the graphic aspect of language. Okay. Now here the next important thing is, important point is, listening and reading are receptive or passive skills. So in listening and reading, what we'll do is we are passive. Okay, that means we are not completely involved, right? We are not doing two actions there. We are only passive, and these are also called as receptive skills. In listening, what happens? We hear the noises we hear something that is said by the speaker. So here we are only passive, and then in the reading also, it is also receptive. What we receive, will receive what is written on the paper, right? We are reading what is written in the paper. So hence these two skills are receptive or passive skills. And now speaking and writing are productive, active or expressive skills. When the speaking happens, we cannot just speak something what is written. Okay, in speaking, what happens is we need to share the ideas. Here our brain is involved, our thoughts are involved. Okay, we need to express something that is running in our mind. Okay, we need to deliver it as speech or words or something that is already going on in our mind. So here this is an active process. And also writing, why it is called an active process? Because in writing also, what happens, our hand, we use this for writing. Okay, when we write, what happens? The thoughts that are going on, the idea that we have in our brain, we are trying to produce that in words here in the written form. So Speaking and writing both are called productive or active or expressive skills. Right? Now, let us once more see. Listening is in semantic aspect, that is, it should be meaningful. That means it has to have a purpose. And then speaking is a phonetic, that means the sounds are involved, sounds we utter. And reading is the combination of both phonetic and graphic aspect of language. That is, phonetic means here we are going to utter the sounds that are written. Okay, we are going to read the sounds that are written. And the writing is a graphic representation. Now, let's move on to the first important skill, that is listening skill. Okay, what is here in this in these slides we are going to learn what is listening and why listening is important and what are the different types of listening. Okay, let's see that. So listening skill, it is an oral input. What is oral? Oral means it is something related to the audio. That means something that we hear or listen. Okay, oral means it is related to the audio sound that we listen. Okay, it is an oral input. Next is, it involves what are the three things that are important in listening. The three things are sender, message, and a receiver. Okay, without these three things, listening cannot happen. Okay, unless these three things are present, listening cannot be complete. Okay, listening involves a sender. Sender means the speaker, whoever will speak. Okay, what the speaker will send, he will send a message. Okay, and who is the listener? He is the receiver. Okay, listening skill should consist of a sender, that means a speaker, and the message, that means what the message he wants to convey. Okay, and the receiver, that means the listener. These three are the important factors of listening. Okay, so in listening, what is important? Important, that is concentration and attention. We cannot listen anything. If some people are talking to us, we are involved in a conversation, we cannot just uh, mm, let it go what the speaker is speaking, because he is trying to express his ideas or he is trying to share his opinions or views. You cannot just let it go like that. Okay, you have to give your 100% of concentration and attention. Okay, without concentration and attention, the listening skill cannot be completed effectively. So for effective listening, these two are the main elements. The concentration and attention of the listener is important for effective listening. Next, so now hearing and listening. This is the basic difference that we need to learn. Okay, what is hearing and what is listening? Okay, hearing is, for example, we are traveling in a road. Okay, we are driving or we are sitting in a car. So lot of noise goes on in the road. For example, we hear the noise of vehicles that pass by, or we hear the conversations that are happening on the road. Okay, here we are not too much attentive or concentrated on what is happening with the horn of the vehicles or the the conversations that are happening with the two people there beside the road. Okay, hearing means there you need not apply your brain. You need not, store whatever that you hear into your brains. Okay, hearing means, for example, if now I'm giving you a class and I can hear the noise of fan here. Okay, I can hear the noises that are going outside my room. Okay, people are talking there. Okay, here I need not pay my total attention there. Okay, no need of that, because my concentration is on my class and I am 200% attentive here. So I may not, or I need not, put all that noise or disturbance in my brain. So this is the difference between hearing and listening. Whereas listening, what happens is we have to be very attentive. We have to have our mind present there. We have to listen what is happening. We have to listen what the other person is saying, and we have to put that in our brain so that we can analyze, or so that we can understand what the speaker is saying. So hearing means where we are not completely attentive, but listening we should be attentive there. So let us see few points that gives us the difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is easy because there we are not going to concentrate or not going to give our attention. Listening is hard because we have to put our brain there. We have to know what the speaker is saying. We have to know, or we have to understand what the speaker is saying. Next, hearing is passive, really, right? Because we are not concentrating on that, and we are not expected to react for that passive noises, what we hear. Okay, listening is active. You should be present there. Your mind should be present there. It is an active process. You have to be fully present in that listening process. Next, hearing is a physical function of biology. What does it mean? Like, like we smell something, it is a biological process. Like we see something, it is also a biological process. We touch something, it is a biological process. In the same way, hearing is also a biological process. We cannot become deaf for the noises. No, it happens that we hear the noises, but it is so that it is, in our opinion, if we have to take the noises, or if we give our attention to the noises or not. Okay, so there is a difference. It is a biological process where hearing happens, but it depends on that individual, that whether to concentrate on that noise or not, whatever he or she hears. Yeah, listening is a mental function of internal behavior. So listening is a mental function, as I told you earlier. Listening happens when we are more attentive. Listening happens when our brain is put there, when our brain wants to listen, when our mind wants to understand what the noise is about. Right. Listening is beyond words, more than hearing. Listening is beyond the words. It's not about just the words or sounds. It is more than hearing. Right. Now let us go in detail. What are the types of listening? Okay. See, these are the types of listening. So the first type of listening is passive listening. Okay, this is what actually our students do when we teach a class. Okay, see, let's see what is that. Okay, in passive listening, the listener is not attentive to the message being communicated. Okay, the listener is what? He is not attentive to the message being, and whatever the speaker is saying, the listener is not attentive to that. That means he is not paying any attention. That means he is not interested in what the speaker is trying to speak. So, in this type of listening, the listening happens only passive. Okay, the listener is not interested and not paying attention to what the speaker is saying. Next one. Next point is, the listener does not go beyond the superficial understanding of the message. So, that means the listener is not at all trying to understand what the speaker is saying. He'll just listen. He'll just, gives his eye contact, and he'll just listen to what the speaker is saying. But he'll not try to, analyze or give the superficial understanding of what is being spoken. He'll not do that. Next, the listener receives the message only in bits and pieces. So automatically, obviously, when we are not attentive to the class, or when we are not concentrating on the speaker, what happens? The information that we receive will only be in bits or pieces, right? It will not go beyond that. Hence, here only the message that is received is only in bits and pieces. No, the complete information is not stored in the brains of the listener in this particular case. Next, information retrieval is also in chunks. That is, chunks means parts. Okay, the information that is retrieved is also, obviously, when we are not paying any attention to the speaker, what happens? The information we receive will be in the parts only. It cannot be complete, right? So here the examples are the listening. This type of listening happens when the listener is tired or bored or not interested of what is being said. The listener is not at all interested in what is being communicated, right? So here the example, this happens when we listen to the long and prolonged lectures or presentations that you are obviously not interested in. So as I told you earlier, this happens mostly with our students in the classroom, where they are not interested in what we are teaching, and the students will not pay much attention to the class. Okay, and this happens when you listen to a story that you don't care about. If you're where you're talking to your friend and he's going on explaining the unnecessary event for more time, so what happens? Obviously, you're not interested and you're passive in that listening process. Next, the second type of listening is appreciative listening. What is appreciative listening? This is quite opposite of this passive listening. In this appreciative listening, what happens? The listener is more interested of what is being spoken. Okay, he wants to listen to that. He wants to listen to an interesting story. He wants to listen the song he likes. Okay, the music, right? So here, the attention and concentration of the listener is more. He actually wants to listen, right? So let's see the points discussed here. So in appreciative listening, the listener enjoys what he is hearing. So the listener will pay the attention, will be more concentrated, and he wants to listen what is he is hearing. Next, the message appeals to the listener. That means the message is applied to the listener. The message is wanted by the listener. It is for the listener. So, hence he listens with more attention. Next, this occurs during the leisure or pleasurable activities. That means when we are in a mood of when we are in a very pleasant mood where we want to relax, spend our time leisurely, there this type of listening happens. And this happens in the company of people we enjoy spending time with the people where we want to spend our time and we want to listen what he or she is speaking. Here the example is listening to the music that you enjoy. Right. Let's see the next type of listening. And the third type of listening is empathic listening. Here, empathic listening is where the listener has to pay more attention. He has to, because if in this type of listening, if the listener will not pay the concentration or attention, what happens is it may lead to the break of the relationship. So we need to be very careful in this type of listening, because empathy, that means the speaker wants the sympathy from the listener. He wants the listener to listen to him. That means he wants to share his happiness, or maybe he wants to share the pain that he's going through. Okay, in this case, the speaker expects the listener to listen to him and uh, to share the ideas. I mean, to properly involve himself in this conversation, in this type of listening. So let's say the listener puts herself in the position of the speaker and tries to understand the viewpoint of the speaker. So in this case, what happens? When the speaker is explaining about something, the listener has to put himself or herself in that place, okay, in the place of the speaker, and try to understand what exactly is the mindset or what exactly the point of view of the speaker. Okay, next, the listener attempts to decipher the meaning of the speaker's statements. Decipher, what is decipher? That means he wants to decode what the speaker is saying and tries to get the maximum amount of understanding of what the speaker is saying. Okay, in relation to the perceptions and experiences of the speaker, he wants to put his position in the position of the speaker. Next, that means to be in one's shoe. We can quote this idiom as the best example in this type of listening. That means to be in one's shoe means to be in the position of the speaker and try to elaborately explain or experience that situation. Next, this type of listening usually done to understand someone's point of view and build healthy relationships. So this type of listening happens when we try to understand completely the speaker's point of view, and eventually what happens is we build healthy relationships with one another if we are patient enough to listen to what the speaker is speaking. Next comes the comprehensive listening. So in this type of listening, what happens is the listener pays more attention. That means the listener is trying to grab something from the speaker. That means trying to grab some information, some valid or valuable information from the speaker, so that he wants to act according to what the speaker says. Okay, let's see here. The listener tries to understand the message of the speaker. The listener he pays more concentration and tries to understand the message of the speaker in this context. Next, he pays attention to the non-verbal cues. What are non-verbal cues? Non-verbal cues means our gestures and our tone and our voice, our intonation. Okay, so everything is included in this non-verbal cues here. Okay, he pays attention. That means, for example, if we are giving some direction to the person, okay, we say like, you go straight and go right and take the U-turn like this. Okay, we are using all the non-verbal cues here. So what happens? So the listener pays attention to all these non-verbal cues and tries to get the maximum amount of information from the speaker. Right. Next, anticipates what the speaker is going to say. So with the help of these non-verbal cues, the listener, he anticipates. So that means he observes and he gets into an understanding what the speaker is going to say. Next point is verifies the received message by communicating or asking questions. So whatever information he has gathered by the listening, he once again confirms, or he once again verifies with that of the speaker by asking the questions or by commenting or by saying, okay, is that right, or the left, or maybe like that. By asking a few questions, is it so, like that. So he confirms or verifies the information that is that he gathers from the speaker. And then the next point is occurs when we are interested in what is being said. So this type of listening happens when the listener is very much interested of what is being said. So the examples here are when we hear to some instructions or introductions or directions, etc. Okay, so we pay more attention when we listen to such type of conversations. Okay, now next see the last type of listening, that is critical listening. What is critical listening? The name itself suggests critical means here we need to analyze or evaluate whatever the information that is conveyed from the speaker. We have to analyze and we have to see if the speaker is saying his point of view correctly or not. So that is more involved in this context. So let's see here. Listens in order to evaluate or judge the message. So here the listener, what he does, he listens in order to evaluate. So he want to be judgmental here. Okay, whatever he listens, he want to analyze and be judgmental and give his own interpretation for this. Right. Next, pay special attention to the logic of the argument. So whatever is happening, he will give his special attention, strength of evidence, validity of the conclusions, implications of the message, and the speaker's motive. So everything is included in this type of listening. Not just listening happens here. He wants to grab the evidence. He wants to listen to the complete argument. He wants to get the valid conclusions for what is happening, and then he reaches to the point of what actually happened. Okay, he will not just rush into the conclusion of what he has listened. Okay, this is the third point here, high order skill, which is employed when we need to examine or judge the message. So here the listener plays the role of examining, or he will be more judgmental here. That means he wants to give his opinion on what he has listened. He wants to analyze the information completely and then get into the proper conclusion of what he has listened. So here the examples are listening to a debate or a politician's campaign speech, etc. So when we listen to a debate, what happens? There will try to see both parties and then come to a proper conclusion. Next, here the important point is comprehensive listening and critical listening both are active listening skills, because in the comprehensive listening, what happens? In the comprehensive listening, we need to get the instructions and directions from the speaker. So there we need to be more attentive and careful. And in the critical listening also, what happens? We need to get the conclusion. That means we need to analyze the speaker's point of view, and we we need to get to the conclusion. So we need to pay special attention here also. Analysis happens and we need to be more judgmental here. So in these two types of listening, these are considered as active listening skills. Okay, so this is about the listening skills. Now let's go to the next type of skill. The next important skill is speaking skills. Okay, so this is where we need to, pay more attention here. We need to concentrate more because when coming to listening, this is like somewhat in a comfortable zone where our role is just to listen, or maybe more than that, we need to analyze something like that. But when coming to speaking skills, it is not just to be a part of the conversation, but we need to express our ideas, we need to talk here. So this is a little more difficult when compared to listening, right? Because we need to get the proper words while speaking, and we need to be very polite while giving our thoughts or sharing our ideas. Our responsibility becomes more when speaking than listening. Okay, right? We need to be attentive here. So let's see what are speaking skills. Okay, speaking is an act of making vocal sounds. That means we are speaking something. Vocal sounds here is we need to speak something that will be considered as speaking. We can say that speaking means to converse or expressing one's thought and feelings in a spoken language. As I already told you, speaking is expressing our thoughts and speaking the language. The speaking often implies conveying information. Okay, in the speaking, what happens? We always need to give or convey some information that is needed to be communicated. It may be from an informal remark to a scholarly presentation to a formal address. So the speaking happens in both ways, that it may be an informal way or a formal way. So there is a difference between the both ways, and in the coming session of the class you will be able to learn what is the difference between these two, formal and informal way of speaking. Okay, now let's see what are speaking skills. Speaking skills are the skills that give us the ability to communicate effectively. Okay, when we have the good idea of these speaking skills, then what happened? We will be able to communicate the information properly and effectively. So it is important to have a very good idea of these speaking skills. Next, these skills allow the speaker to convey his message in a passionate, thoughtful and convincing manner. So the speaker here, he should be able to communicate the information in a thoughtful process and with the passion to communicate the information. Okay, he should have the zeal of communicating the information effectively. Okay, and maybe in some contexts it is important that we need to convince the opposite person or maybe the listener, okay, what we speak. Okay, we need to convince him that we are speaking correctly or what we speak is the right thing. Okay, so in some context this happens that we need to convince the other person. Next, speaking skills also helps to assure that one won't be misunderstood by those who are listening. In the speaking, the speaker should be careful enough to know that the listener is not misunderstood what the speaker is speaking. Okay, because the communication, I mean the message that has to be conveyed should be heard clearly by the listener and also understood clearly by the listener. That is the responsibility of the speaker. He should be able to convey his information effectively to the listener. That is the speaker's responsibility. He should make sure that the listener did not misunderstand this speaker. It should be in the hands of the speaker. Now, next, so these speaking skills are more important, and here also the body language of the speaker is involved. The body language of the speaker also plays a major role and important role in the speaking. See now, speaking skills. These are productive or expressive skills in oral words. Speaking is a productive skills because we are producing. That means we are giving the ideas. We are speaking the ideas and we are producing the sounds. Hence, this is considered as a productive skill. And the speaking skill is also an expressive skill because we are expressing our thoughts. We are expressing your ideas, we are sharing your ideas. So obviously this also becomes the expressive skill. Next, the speaking skill is a fundamental to a human communication in daily life because without speaking the communication cannot happen. So this is the basic and also the fundamental skill in our language skills. Speaking is ultimately important for the successful process of communication. We have to make sure that speaking happens effectively and it plays its role in the communication process. Now, let's see what is speaking effectively means what. Speaking effectively means the message should be clearly heard and if possible acted upon. The message that is being conveyed that should be clearly heard by the listener. Otherwise, there happens the miscommunication. The danger of happening miscommunication exists there if the speaker properly won't convey his message. Right? So it is important that the speaker communicates his message properly. The message should be heard by the listener properly. Then only the proper communication happens. Now, we have two main elements in speaking. They are what you say and how you say it. Both are very important. What you say means your choice of words. Okay, that means what you are conveying, what message you are giving. Okay, and how you say it is your body language. Okay, how you say it, that means you are speaking recklessly or you are speaking attentively or you are speaking, that means you expect the listener to listen to you. Okay, so are you speaking dominantly? So different things happens here. So your body language and your choice of words are very important in speaking. You need to have the proper idea of both of these while speaking. Otherwise, you cannot successfully do this speaking skill. Right. Next, you should know the difference between formal and informal way of speaking. We have discussed this point in the earlier slide also. So, formal and informal way of speaking, what are they? So, when you're talking to your friend, okay, when you're speaking and when you're sharing your ideas to your friend or to your family members, it is more of informal way. Okay, there you cannot be so attentive of your body language or you're so careful of your words. Okay, whereas in the formal way, that means maybe it is maybe a presentation or if you're speaking to your teacher or some elder person, there you need to be careful of your choice of words and also your body language. Both are very important. You need to be careful of both of the aspects. Okay, so this is what called informal and formal way of speaking. There is a difference in both these speaking skills. Okay, so now let's see what are the speaking situations. Speaking situations are three times: interactive, partial interactive and non-interactive. What are interactive situations? That means you are involved in a conversation with your friends. There the process is interactive. That means you speak something, they listen and they'll speak something and you respond. Okay, so this is the interactive process happens. So partial interactive means when you are in a classroom and your teacher is explaining something, there you cannot, interaction cannot take place. There what happens is when your teacher asks you for the queries, that means if you have any doubt, your teacher asks you to raise your hand and raise your doubt. So at that time you need to respond to your teacher. So there comes the partial interactive thing. Okay, so when you are involved in a debate, in a conversation like that, so there also the communication is partial. Okay, it is not completely interactive. And what is non-interactive situation? Non-interactive situation is where something is already recorded. For example, we are watching a news, for example. Okay, so their speaking is already recorded, and we cannot interact with that a person who is you know giving the news. Okay, the person who is participating in that program, we cannot interact with that recorded show. Okay, so that will come under non-interactive situation. So these are the three speaking situations we get through. Okay, so next, these are the general examples where speaking skills are involved. Speaking skills are used in casual conversations and formal conversations, as I told you earlier. In social interactions, that means when you attend a party or a celebration, there you need to interact with your relatives and your friends there. So that will become a social interaction. And public speeches, already when you attend the public speeches, there the speaking happens. And talk on local topics, okay, there also the speaking happens. And negotiations at social meetings, that means when you go to a shop and you want to buy something and the price is not okay with you, and what you do, you go on and you negotiate with the salesman there. Okay, and also the conversation tasks, what are they, the role plays, etc. Okay, so these are the general examples where the speaking goes on. Next, okay, we have already discussed earlier, body language is involved in both speaking and listening. What is body language actually, and why the body language is important, we need to know. Okay, body language is the communication of personal feelings, emotions, attitudes, thoughts through the body movement. That means our gestures. Okay, the way we sit, the way we maintain eye contact with the speaker or the listener. Okay, the way we give our hand movements. Okay, the way we sit. Okay, the way we maintain a smile on our face. Okay, everything is included in the body language. So I'll just read out the definition of the body language. Body language is the communication of personal feelings, emotions, attitudes, thoughts through the body movements, that is gestures, postures, facial expressions, walking styles, position and distance. What is position and distance? Here it is important to know that when we talk to our teacher, we maintain a certain distance. We will not just go straight into the teacher's table and talk. Okay, there we need to maintain the distance. We need to maintain the proper distance, and we have to speak in a formal way. For example, when we talk to our friend, we'll just hold your friend's hands, and you can put your hand on the shoulder of your friend, and you can freely talk. So there the position and distance doesn't vary. Okay, but while you are involved in a formal way of speaking or listening, your position definitely has the importance. Okay, so we need to make that difference. We need to have the conscious of that difference, whether you are involved in a formal way of communication or informal way of communication. Next, either consciously or involuntarily, that is, it's not only your tongue you communicate with, but also you speak with your body movements and gestures. So you speak not only with your tongue, but also your body speaks. Okay, So, do you have any doubt that if your body speaks or not? Now, let's see that why body language is important. Why body language is so important, and why am I stressing on this point so much? Okay, the body language plays a vital role in the intuition. Intuition means once we see a person, once we see the speaking of a person, we immediately get to a conclusion what he is speaking. That means whether he is angry or whether he is happy or whether he is sad. Okay, we'll get the get that idea once we see the person. That is what called intuition is. Once we see them, we get to the conclusion of what is his mood and what of a person he is. Okay, intuition, as it gives us messages about the other person that we can interpret at an intuitive level. That's why it is important that your body language should be in your control while you speak or listen. Okay, see here, you can see the clear picture here. 50% of your communication is done through your body language itself. So, isn't it necessary that you be careful about your body language? I insist you please check how your body language is when you are speaking or listening to a person. Okay, it is very important. And the 7% of communication is done through the speaking words. Okay, our speaking only has the 7% of communication. 55% is only our non-verbal communication, that is our body language, and the remaining 38% is the tone of our voice. Tone means what? Tone means our intonation. Intonation is the ups and downs of our speaking, ups and downs of the speech. That is where we raise our tone. That means are we really trying to scare the other person with our speaking, or are we being polite enough to convey our information properly? That depends on the person. So you need to be very careful of your tone also, as well as your body language. Okay, because you are speaking here, it is clearly shown that your speaking is just 7%. You need to be very careful of your body language and also your tone of voice. Next we'll come to the next important skill, that is reading skill. What is a reading skill and how the reading happens? See, reading skills are the abilities that pertain to a person's capacity to read. Okay, reading skills are the ability of a person to read. Okay, it belongs to a person's ability to read and to comprehend. That means to read and to involve or include, and also interpret and decode the written language and text. That means whatever the reading we are involved, okay, we need to understand the written format properly. Okay, exceptional reading skills can be highly beneficial to assimilating and responding to the written communication. Okay, your reading should be exceptional because you need to properly understand what the letter you have received, what the email you have received. Okay, you have to give a proper reading to the emails or letters or messages that you are reading. You cannot just glance it and reach to the conclusion. No, it should not happen in reading. If you read properly only, you can get the proper conclusion. If you read properly only, you can get the proper idea of what is written in the message or an email. Next, using reading skills in the workplace can also be important for ensuring effective written communication, which can result in less miscommunication or misunderstanding of the expectation. Okay, so unlike the speaking and listening process, here the written format that is read by the reader, that cannot be misinterpreted or miscommunicated. So what happens if we read properly? We will properly understand what is being communicated, what is being written in the uh, paper. Okay, so in the workplace also, we give more importance to ourselves. That means when we receive an email or a circular, what we do? We give the utmost attention so that the what is written there, we need to read it properly and we need to understand it. Right, next. Reading skills can also encompass several key aspects that work together to develop overall literacy skills. So, this reading involves all the other literary skills like comprehension, fluency, vocabulary. Everything is learned by proper reading, right? Because when we read loudly, what happens? We get the pronunciation. Okay, when we read what is written is we get the proper vocabulary. We can improve our vocabulary, we can improve our pronunciation, we can improve our fluency. Okay, so many benefits. This will cover all the literary aspects here. Hence reading is very important, right? Next, see, it is as we discussed, it is a receptive skill. That means we are reading whatever is already written or printed in a paper. Okay, now let's see the types of reading. We have different types of reading: loud reading, silent reading, intensive reading, extensive reading. We also have skimming, scanning, and lot more. So let's see what is loud reading. Loud reading means this happens mostly in the classroom activities where the student is made to stand and he has to open his textbooks and read the text what is written there. Okay, there what happens, he practices the reading. Okay, he utters the word loudly and he develops his pronunciation. Okay, see here, the pronunciation will be accurate. That means the developing of the pronunciation happens in this type of reading, because you utter each and every word loudly. When you utter it loudly, automatically your fluency and pronunciation will be improved. You will learn to utter a word properly. Okay, and you will learn to read the sentence flawlessly. That means your fluency will be improved. Okay. Right, now silent reading. What is silent reading? Silent reading is where we take the textbook and we sit silently and we read with our eyes and also the brain. So your mind is more present there. Okay, we read it and we try to memorize it. Okay, whatever we read. In silent reading, what happens? It improves the concentration. The concentration of the reader is completely on his book. Okay, he reads, he improves his concentration, and also it improves the speed of the reading. Okay, because in loud reading, what happens? Your eyes see the word, and you have to get that word into your brains, and then you make the loud reading. But in silent reading, what happens? You see and you read it. Okay, there is no need of uttering the word. So automatically what happens? That time is killed and you can use that time only in reading. So obviously the speed of the reading is improved in the silent reading. Okay, and it also improves active vocabulary. What is active vocabulary? So when we read in the silent reading, automatically what we'll do is we'll take a pencil and whenever we find something important, we'll just underline it. We'll underline, and if we don't know the meaning, what we'll do, we'll refer to a dictionary and we'll take the word and we'll try to understand the meaning and we'll write it there, because the other time we open the book, what happens? The meaning is already written there, so we can easily memorize it. Okay, so in silent reading, what happens is the vocabulary is improved. Okay, and also we can use this vocabulary in our daily life. Okay, that vocabulary, when we underline and we refer to the meaning, what happens, it is stored in our brains easy. Okay, we can store it and we can use it in the daily conversation. So hence here your vocabulary is improved in silent reading. Next comes intensive reading. What is intensive reading? Intensive reading is you read for specific details. Okay, for example, your textbook reading, you read that in the examination purpose. Okay, you precisely, that means every sentence you read and memorize it for your future purpose, that means for examination or etc. Next is extensive reading. What is extensive reading? So extensive reading focuses on the gist, that means the main theme, what is there. Okay, here we need not memorize it, or here we not questions will not be asked. For example, if you are reading a non tale or if you are reading a novel, okay, there we need not pay more attention or more concentration. We read for our pleasure, we read for when we are in leisure time. Okay, we read it so that we concentrate only on the gist, the main story, what is that. Okay, we will concentrate only on the main gist. Okay, each and every word or line cannot be or need not be memorized in this type of reading. Here the passive vocabulary is improved. What is passive vocabulary? Here also we find the vocabulary, that means important words we find, and we may not use them in the daily use, but we have that in our brains. Okay, we improve that vocabulary, passive vocabulary in this type of reading. Next comes types of writing skills. What are the different types of writing skills we have? Writing skill is a skill which enables the learner to brainstorm ideas, organize them, draft, edit and revise his or her work. Okay, first is brainstorming your ideas. So whatever the ideas you have, okay, you will brainstorm it. That means you search for ideas and you are stuck with the proper idea what you want to write. Okay, you will filter them and get the important ideas what you want to write. Important information is stored there. Next, what happens? You organize them. So whatever the ideas you have already brainstormed, what you will do is you will organize as to which has to come first and then next and what next and how should be the conclusion. Everything is written in a proper manner. So you need to organize them properly. So after organizing, what you will do is you need to draft it. You need to draft it. That means in a proper format. You need to draft all your ideas. So after drafting comes editing. What is editing? Editing means, that means if any mistakes are there in your written format, or any grammatical mistakes or any spelling mistakes or any upside down anything has happened, you need to check the information is put properly or not. Okay, that is what called editing is. And then after editing is, finally you'll revise. That means you'll check if you have done everything properly or not. Most of us are doing this while we are giving online lectures. When we prepare a PPT, what happens is we first has brainstormed our ideas. That means we thought of what topic has to be explained, and then once we have fixed to a topic, then we have organized all the information about the topic, and then we have drafted the topic into PPT, and then after PPT we have edited everything for mistakes, and then we have revised number of times if there is any mistake while drafting. Okay, so this all happens when you give your writing skills, right? Okay, now let's go to the types of writing. What are the different types of writing? Okay, first one is expository writing. What is an expository writing? The main function of this expository writing is you need to explain more. Okay, explain more in a process whatever has happened, maybe an event or an incident or maybe an idea. Okay, everything has to be explained in a process. Okay, see, the main purpose is to explain. And the second point, see, it is a subject oriented style. This type of writing is a subject oriented style where your subject will improve, where your vocabulary will improve, okay, and where your idea on the subject will definitely improve. Okay, so hence it is called as subject oriented style of writing. Next, no personal opinions of the author here are encouraged. Okay, the author writes only what the gist or what the information he has gathered. He will put it on paper. That's it. Here, personal opinions are nowhere involved. Okay, nowhere included. Only whatever happened that is put on paper. Next, explains something in process. So all the process is explained clearly in the process. Okay. Next, equipped with facts and figures. That's what we discussed earlier. No personal opinions are involved here. Everything is factual and figural. Right? We cannot go beyond the facts in this type of writing. So here examples are like newspapers and articles that will be published, or journals, or the newspaper articles that are to be written. Next, descriptive. What is descriptive? The descriptive type of writing is about describing something with each and every detail. Okay, in this type of writing, we need to describe particulars in detail. Okay, here, see, the first point is the main purpose is to describe. Describe means, all the features are included and we will describe each and every point in detail. Yeah, it focuses on describing a character or event or a place. For example, if you are going to describe some person, okay, so you have to describe his character or maybe his personality, how he looks, how he walks, how he speaks, okay, or if you are speaking, if you are writing about an event, okay, you will describe about each and every point, how the decoration is, who is the chief guest, and at what time the event has started, at what time it has concluded, okay, what are the cultural activities involved in the event, everything, okay. From time to time we will describe everything in detail, right? So the description involves in everything that is to be described in detail. Next is persuasive writing skill. So let's see what is persuasive. Here it is unlike or expository writing. Here the author's opinions are involved. Okay, that means here the author tries to convince the reader. Okay, tries to convince the reader with his ideas. See, the main purpose is to convince the reader with his opinions and ideas. Next one, see, it contains opinions and biases of the author. So author's opinions are involved in this type of writing. Next, it contains the justifications and reasoning so that people may agree with the writer. He will also produce his justifications in his writing. Okay, he will not just convince the reader, but he will also provide his justifications, and also he will give his reasoning of why you should be convinced to this idea or to this writing. Okay, see the example, letters of complaint. So when we write a letter of complaint, so what will happen? There the author's opinion is involved, and also the author tries to convince the reader about his problems, about his proper reasoning, okay, and he will try to convince and convey everything in the letter, right? And also advertisements or commercials. These are few examples. And the next comes narrative. Narrative completely involves a narration of a story, narration of a drama, etc. So, see, the main purpose is to narrate a story, and it answers, the main purpose is to answer the question what has happened then. Okay, what happened in the story, that that is to be narrated detailed. Okay, so here examples are novel, short stories, biographies, etc. So these are the different writing skills. Okay, so with this, I would like to conclude my online lecture, and I hope I have made myself clear, and also made it clear, and so that you can understand about the language skills, and you apply these language skills in your daily life, and make the proper use of your body language and your speaking and your listening, and use this in your daily life. So I really thank Secretary Sir for giving this wonderful opportunity, to use the technology like this, and to explain our lectures. And this is definitely a great, interesting opportunity for us, for our teachers like this. And thank you for listening to my class, and have a good day. Thank you.